Right. Let's have a little chat about the state of the British car market. Because here's what the car industry desperately doesn't want you to know: the best SUVs you can buy in the UK right now don't cost 40 grand. They don't cost 30 grand. Some of them don't even cost 5 grand. And a handful of them, bought for the price of a decent second-hand sofa, will still be running reliably when your neighbour's brand new Nissan Qashqai has become a very expensive paperweight. We're living through a strange moment in motoring. New cars have never been more technologically impressive. They've also never been more financially terrifying. The average price of a new car in the UK has shot past £35,000. Finance deals that once looked manageable are now crushing household budgets. And all those flashy screens, lane-keeping systems, and over-the-air software updates. They come with a hidden cost: complexity. And complexity breaks. Meanwhile, sitting quietly on used car forecourts and Auto Trader listings up and down the country, there are SUVs with one simple superpower: they just keep going. These are the cars that built Toyota's legendary reputation. The ones that Honda engineers quietly obsessed over for decades. The ones that Subaru owners in Scotland swear by through every brutal winter. Unglamorous? Maybe. Unfashionable? Absolutely. But built with a philosophy that's completely alien to modern car manufacturing: the idea that a car should simply work. Year after year. Mile after mile. Today, we're counting down 7 of these hidden gems. 7 dirt-cheap SUVs that virtually nobody in the UK is buying right now, and that's precisely why you should be paying attention. Because when demand is low and supply is plentiful, the deals are extraordinary. We're talking about SUVs you can pick up for between £1,500 and £8,000, that routinely clock 200,000 miles without major drama, that are cheap to insure, cheap to service, and supported by massive parts networks. Cars that laugh in the face of depreciation because they've already done it, and then kept going anyway. Let's get into it. Number 7, Honda CR-V, 3 Malawian Kwachas and 4 Malawian Kwachas, 2006 to 2016. If you want to understand why Honda has one of the most devoted fan bases in the motoring world, you need to spend about a week with a 3rd or 4th generation CR-V. This is a car built with a very specific engineering philosophy, one that Honda calls man maximum, machine minimum. In practice, that means every inch of space is used intelligently, every component is chosen for reliability over showiness, and the whole thing is assembled with a level of care that Japanese manufacturers have traditionally applied and British ones have, let's be diplomatic, occasionally aspired to. The 3 Malawian Kwachas CR-V arrived in the UK in December 2006, offering a choice of a 2.0-litre petrol or a 2.2-litre diesel engine. The 4 Malawian Kwachas followed in 2012, growing slightly, adding more equipment, and improving refinement significantly. Both generations share the same core DNA: solid, sensible, and stubbornly reliable. What you're getting for your money. Right now on Auto Trader and other UK listings, you can find 3 Malawian Kwachas examples from around £2,000 for higher mileage models, rising to around £6,000 to £7,000 for the very best, carefully maintained examples. For Malawian Kwachas, versions start at roughly £4,000 and top out around £10,000 for low mileage, full service history cars. At the lower end of that range, you're looking at a 5-seat family SUV with a genuinely spacious interior, a sliding rear bench, an underrated feature that makes life with car seats dramatically easier, and a boot that measures 556 litres with the seats up, competitive even by modern standards. The diesel version is the one that generates the most excitement among used car buyers. The 2.2-litre IDTEC unit, introduced with the facelift in 2010, is particularly strong, more refined than the earlier ICT-DI and noticeably more economical. Real-world fuel consumption in the high 40s miles per gallon is achievable on motorway runs, and with fuel prices where they are, that matters. But here's the really interesting thing about the CR-V: its engine is chain-driven. No cam belt to replace, no costly timing belt service lurking in the background waiting to ambush your wallet. Honda service costs are also transparent and reasonable. Fixed price servicing at Honda dealers costs £165 or £270 for minor and major services on petrol models. Brake fluid every 3 years. Coolant every 5. The whole package is designed to be predictable and affordable to maintain. The reliability story. Honda's reputation for building cars that refuse to give up is not marketing mythology. It is the product of decades of engineering rigor. The CR-V, in particular, has built an extraordinary real-world track record. It is genuinely common to find these cars with 150,000, 180,000, even 200,000 miles on the clock and running without significant issues, provided they've been looked after. The petrol version is generally considered the more dependable of the two engine options. The diesel has had some recalls, fuel pipe issues on certain 2009 to 2010 production cars, fuel pump concerns on some 2010 models, so checking the full recall history on the DVLA's website before buying is essential. But well-maintained examples of either engine are remarkably solid. What to watch out for? There are a few known issues worth understanding. Earlier 3 Malawian Quachas cars can suffer from a flat battery caused by a minor current leak from the ignition switch, cheap to fix, but worth checking. The silver door handle paint can peel rather than chip, and replacements are the only proper fix. Power steering failure affected some cars built between July 2008 and June 2010, so verify any recall work has been completed. And the 2007 to 2008 model years have a slightly spottier reliability record than the cars that came before and after. Stick to 2009 onwards if possible. Why nobody's buying it? Honestly? Because it looks like what it is, a sensible, slightly boring family car. It doesn't have the badge appeal of a Range Rover Evoque or the Instagram presence of a Volkswagen Tiguan. It looks like something your geography teacher drives. Which means it's chronically undervalued on the used market, and that is your opportunity. For a young family, a sole trader, or anyone who needs a genuinely capable, spacious, and long-lived SUV without spending serious money, the CR-V remains one of the best value propositions in the entire UK used car market. Number 6, Skoda Yeti, 2009 to 2017. The Skoda Yeti is proof that having a funny name doesn't stop a car from being seriously brilliant. Built on Volkswagen Group underpinnings, the same platform that underpins the Golf and Tiguan, the Yeti was, for much of its production life, one of the most enthusiastically reviewed compact SUVs in the UK. What car? Loved it. Auto Express loved it. Actual owners loved it. And then, as so often happens with sensible, practical, and showy cars, the buying public completely ignored it in favour of something shinier. Their loss. Your gain. What you're getting. The Yeti is compact by today's standards, roughly the size of a Nissan Juke, but with the practicality of something much larger. The interior is genuinely, cleverly designed. There are large cup holders capable of fitting a tall travel mug without spilling everywhere, a detail so overlooked by most car manufacturers it deserves a standing ovation. The rear seats can be folded, slid, or removed entirely in some configurations. Boot space ranges from 405 litres in 5-seat form up to 1,580 litres with the rear bench folded, the latter number putting many larger SUVs to shame. Mechanically, the Yeti was offered with a range of petrol and diesel engines across its life. The 1.2-litre TSI petrol is economical and reasonably zippy, though the 1.4-litre TSI is the pick of the petrol range, more refined and better suited to motorway driving. The 2.0-litre TDI diesel is the real star, though tractable, efficient, and capable of returning well over 50 miles per gallon on a run. Four-wheel drive is available on larger engine diesel versions, making the Yeti a genuinely capable performer on unpaved surfaces, useful if you're anywhere near the Lake District, Scottish Highlands, or rural Wales. On the used market, prices are exceptional. You can pick up a Yeti with full service history and reasonable mileage for £4,000 to £7,000. Later, facelift models from 2013 onwards, which brought a revised front end and interior updates, are available from around £5,000. For what you're getting in terms of capability, space, and quality of construction, that is staggering value. The reliability angle. Here's where the Yeti's VW Group heritage becomes a double-edged sword, and it's worth being honest about it. The underlying platform is solid. The engines are generally well regarded. But some of the ancillary components, DSG dual-clutch gearboxes on certain derivatives, the 1.2 TSI engines early versions, have required attention on some cars. The key advice is to buy a manual gearbox Yeti where possible, to avoid the more complicated DSG transmission. Service the car at the correct intervals. VW Group engines are not forgiving of neglected oil changes. And look specifically for a full service history, because a well-maintained Yeti is a fundamentally reliable machine, while a neglected one can present headaches. The MOT pass rate for well-kept Yetis is strong. Parts are widely available through the VW Group dealer network and independent specialists. And because Skodas have always been positioned as the value end of the VW family, labor costs at independent garages are typically lower than they would be for an equivalent Volkswagen or Audi. Why it's underrated in the UK. The Yeti was discontinued in 2017, replaced by the Karoq, which is a fine car but a less characterful one. The Yeti's unusual looks divided opinion at launch and still do. It's not conventionally pretty. But that distinctive face and raised roofline actually serve a purpose: excellent visibility from the driver's seat, something many modern SUVs, with their raked rooflines and thick pillars, have completely abandoned in pursuit of styling. Parker's rates the Yeti as their top pick for used SUVs under £5,000. For good reason. If you want a compact SUV that's practical, characterful, enjoyable to drive, and astonishingly good value, the Yeti deserves to be near the top of your shortlist. Number 5, Toyota RAV4, 3 Malawian Kwacha's and 4 Malawian Kwacha's, 2005 to 2018. The Toyota RAV4 invented the compact SUV. That's not hyperbole. When Toyota launched the first RAV4 in the UK back in 1994, the concept of a car-based, road-focused SUV with off-road pretensions and a lifestyle-friendly image was genuinely new. Every Nissan Juke, every Vauxhall Mocha, every Ford EcoSport that followed owes a creative debt to that original RAV4. But what concerns us today are the third and fourth generation cars, the 3 Malawian Kwacha's from 2005 to 2012, and the 4 Malawian Kwacha's from 2012 to 2018. These are the RAV4S that built the model's reputation for doing the one thing Toyota does better than almost anyone else, going forever with minimal drama. The numbers. On the used market in 2025, the 3 Malawian Kwacha's RAV4 starts at around £2,500 for high-mileage examples and reaches £6,000 to £7,000 for the best. The 4 Malawian Kwacha's, significantly more modern inside and out, with better safety tech, starts at around £5,000 for earlier examples and can reach £12,000 to £13,000 for the final 2018 cars with low mileage. The sweet spot is probably a 2014 to 2016 for Malawian Kwacha's diesel, which you can pick up for £7,000 to £9,000 in good condition. The 4 Malawian Kwacha's RAV4 is genuinely spacious. Heycar describes it as the biggest SUV for under £10,000, noting its boxy proportions translate into exceptional interior volume. Boot space reaches 547 litres, larger than a Ford Focus Estate. Fold the rear seats and you have a space that verges on van-like. For families, dog owners, anyone who hauls things regularly, the 4 Malawian Kwacha's RAV4 is almost embarrassingly practical. Why Toyota's reliability is different. Every car manufacturer claims reliability. Toyota's reputation is different in kind, not just degree. It is the product of a manufacturing philosophy, the Toyota production system, developed over decades, that treats every defect as a systemic failure to be eliminated, not a statistical inevitability to be managed. The results speak for themselves. In virtually every long-term reliability survey, J.D. Power, what car? Honest John, Toyota consistently outperforms the field. The RAV4, specifically, routinely achieves above-average scores across all categories. Real-world evidence is even more compelling. there are RAV4S in the UK with well over 200,000 miles, still on their original engines, still driving without major issues. The 2.0-litre petrol engine available in 3 Malawian Kwacha's and early 4 Malawian Kwacha's models is particularly well regarded. The 2.2-litre D4D diesel is capable and economical, delivering around 45 miles per gallon in real-world driving. Four-wheel drive is available on both petrol and diesel variants, with a genuinely capable system that performs well on light off-road use. What to check? The 3 Malawian Kwacha's diesel had some issues with DPF, diesel particulate filter, blockages on cars that were predominantly used for short, stop-start urban journeys. If you're primarily driving in a city or town, a petrol RAV4 is the wiser choice. The MK4's 2 diesel is broadly considered more refined, but the same advice applies. For the 3 Malawian Kwacha specifically, check the rear suspension carefully. Worn bushes are a known issue and an MOT failure point. Budget accordingly. The MK4's four-wheel drive system should be tested properly. Take the car to a quiet car park and engage it, making sure it transfers drive to the rear wheels as intended. The bottom line. The Toyota RAV4 in these generations is not exciting. It's not stylish. The interior of the 3 Malawian Kwachas is, by modern standards, rather basic. But it will take virtually any amount of abuse and neglect, within reason, and keep going. For fleet managers, high-mileage users, or anyone for whom reliability is the absolute non-negotiable priority, the RAV4 at these prices is essentially a no-brainer. Number 4, Subaru Forester, 2 Malawian Kwachas and 3 Malawian Kwachas, 2002 to 2013. Here's an SUV that's genuinely, properly capable, and genuinely, properly overlooked. The Subaru Forester has never been a car that generates excitement in the showroom. It's boxy. It's not particularly stylish. It's made by a brand that, in the UK, maintains a cult following rather than a mainstream one. And that, right there, is the reason it's on this list. Because the Forester's engineering credentials are extraordinary. Every Forester sold in the UK comes with Subaru's legendary symmetrical all-wheel drive system, genuine, permanent four-wheel drive that splits torque intelligently between all four wheels, all the time. Not a pretend system that engages when it detects slip. Proper AWD, with equal-length drive shafts and a center differential, designed to provide maximum traction in every condition. Combine that with a horizontally opposed boxer engine, which sits lower in the chassis for a better center of gravity than a conventional upright four-cylinder, and you have an SUV that is quietly, genuinely exceptional in bad conditions. Scottish winters, Welsh mountain passes, Lake District farm tracks, the Forester handles them with a confidence that puts many £50,000 SUVs to shame. What you pay? The 2 Malawian Kwachas Forester, 2002 to 2008, is extraordinarily cheap. Serviceable examples are available from around £1,500 to £2,500. The best, most carefully kept MK2S with full Subaru service history reach around £5,000. The 3 Malawian Kwachas, 2008 to 2013, which brought a more modern interior, better safety scores, and a more refined driving experience, starts at around £3,000 and tops out at around £8,000 for pristine examples. These are remarkable prices for what you're getting. The Forester in both generations is a genuinely spacious five-seater with a 460-litre boot, excellent headroom, and the sort of high-set driving position that makes life on flooded country lanes or snow-covered supermarket car parks considerably less stressful. The reliability reality. Subaru's reputation for reliability is strong, but it comes with an important asterisk: the head gaskets. The EJ series boxer engines used in 2 Malawian Kwachas Foresters, particularly the 2.0-litre non-turbo petrol, developed a reputation for head gasket failures, especially on cars that were not maintained carefully or that ran hot at any point in their lives. This sounds alarming. In practice, it means you need to be careful rather than avoiding the Forester entirely. Buy one with a full documented service history, pay for an independent inspection before purchasing, and specifically ask about head gasket work. A car that's already had the head gasket replaced by a reputable Subaru specialist is actually a fine buy because the issue has been addressed. Many high-mileage Foresters never had the problem at all. The 3 Malawian Quachars Forester used updated EJ engines with improved head gasket design, significantly reducing the issue. The 2.0-litre diesel option, available from 2009, completely sidesteps the problem, though diesel Foresters are rarer in the UK and command a slight premium. The Subaru community in the UK is also worth mentioning. There are dedicated specialist garages across the country that know these cars inside out, charge reasonable rates, and can source parts efficiently. This support network is part of what makes long-term Forester ownership surprisingly manageable. Who should buy it? The Forester is particularly compelling for anyone who lives in a rural area, regularly encounters steep or unpaved roads, or needs genuine all-weather capability. Dog owners, smallholders, outdoor types, rural professionals, the Forester has served all of these communities with extraordinary loyalty. For the price of a mid-range mountain bike, you can own an SUV with drivetrain technology that costs 10 times as much in a new car. Number 3, Kia Sportage, 2 Malawian Quachars and 3 Malawian Quachars, 2004 to 2015. Right, let's talk about Kia. Specifically, let's talk about how Kia has quietly become one of the best reliability stories in the global car industry, and why that matters for you when you're shopping for a used SUV. 20 years ago, Kia was the brand you bought when you couldn't afford anything else. The build quality was questionable. The image was non-existent. The depreciation was spectacular in the worst possible way. Then something remarkable happened. Kia hired Peter Schreier, one of Audi's leading designers. They extended their warranty to 7 years. They invested heavily in quality control. And they built cars that started to genuinely impress. The 2 Malawian Quachars and 3 Malawian Quachar Sportage represent this transformation in physical form. They are not exotic cars. They are not thrilling to drive. But they are, according to the readers of Honest John, one of the UK's most trusted owner-review platforms, among the most reliable large crossovers available on a budget. The 3 Malawian Quachar Sportage, covering the 2010 to 2015 period, was actually rated 10 tenths for reliability in Honest John's reader surveys. 10 out of 10. That's extraordinary. What you get? The 2 Malawian Quachar Sportage, 2004 to 2010, is now very affordable indeed, budget cars from around £1,500, the best examples around £4,000 to £5,000. It's compact by today's standards, with a 591-litre boot, which was generous for its time, and a practical, if basic, interior. Four-wheel drive is available on higher-spec models. The 3 Malawian Quachar Sportage, 2010 to 2015, was a significant step forward, more modern-looking, better built, more comfortable, and with a wider range of engine and equipment options. This is the car that genuinely announced Kia's arrival as a credible mainstream manufacturer. You'll find clean examples with full service history from around £5,000, rising to around £9,000 to £10,000 for top specification, low-mileage examples from 2014 to 2015. Engine options include a 1.6-litre petrol, a 2.0-litre petrol, a 1.7-litre CRDI diesel, and a 2.0-litre CRDI diesel. The 1.7 CRDI is the efficiency pick, capable of around 50 miles per gallon on a motorway run, while the 2.0 petrol suits buyers who do a lot of urban driving and want to avoid diesel-specific concerns. The Kia 7-year warranty legacy. One of the most significant things about buying a used Kia from this era is understanding the warranty history. Kia introduced its industry-leading 7-year, 100,000-mile warranty on new cars in 2010. That means a Sportage registered in 2013 would have been covered until 2020, and many examples on the used market today were maintained under that warranty program with full documented history. This changes the calculus significantly. A Sportage with 7 years of warranty-driven, dealer-maintained service history is a remarkably low-risk used car purchase. The warranty doesn't transfer to subsequent owners, but the documentation and discipline it enforces on maintenance history is invaluable. Ownership costs. Parts availability for Kia is excellent across the UK. The Sportage shares components with the Hyundai Tucson. They're built on the same platform, which doubles the parts supply chain. Independent specialists are widespread. Insurance groupings are low to mid-range. And servicing costs at independent garages are very reasonable. The MOT pass rate for Sportage of this era is consistently strong. Common reasons for failure include brake wear and tire condition, normal consumables, rather than structural or mechanical problems. That's exactly what you want to see. For a family that needs a reliable, practical, easy-to-own used SUV without spending serious money, the 3 Malawian Kwacha's Kia Sportage might be the single best value proposition on the entire British used car market right now. Number 2, Dacia Duster, 1 Malawian Kwacha and 2 Malawian Kwachas, 2010 to 2023. Alright. Let's talk about the car that the entire British motoring establishment tried to dismiss, and failed. When the first-generation Dacia Duster arrived in the UK in 2012, priced from an almost insulting £8,995 new, the reaction from the automotive press was predictably sniffy. The interior was basic. The ride was acceptable. The technology was minimal. This was not a car for people who considered themselves discerning motorists. And then something unexpected happened. People drove it. And they liked it. And they bought it. And they drove it some more. And it didn't break. And they told their friends. And their friends bought one. And it still didn't break. The Dacia Duster has now spent more than a decade systematically dismantling the assumption that a cheap car has to be an unreliable one. The 2 Malawian Kwachas, best car in Britain. The second-generation Duster, produced from 2017 to 2023, was voted the best car to own in the 2024 Driver Power Survey. Not the best budget car. Not the best SUV. The best car, full stop, across every category and price point, as voted by real owners. The factors that earned it that title were precisely the ones this video is celebrating: value for money, simplicity, space, and dependability. The reason for this reliability story is elegantly simple: there is less to go wrong. Dacia prides itself on delivering what buyers actually need, and nothing they don't. No complex air suspension that can fail catastrophically. Number 48-volt mild hybrid system with proprietary software. No touchscreen so advanced it requires an IT degree to control. The Duster uses proven, shared components from the Renault parts bin, the same engines and platforms that underpin the Renault Clio and Sandero, and combines them with robust, purposeful bodywork. The suspension specifically deserves mention. Despite its budget positioning, the Duster rides with a composure and compliance that many premium SUVs struggle to match. It was designed for Romania's roads, which is to say, it was designed for the real world. That same characteristic makes it extraordinarily good on British country roads, which, as any rural driver will confirm, have not seen meaningful investment since 1987. What you pay today? The 1 Malawian Kwacha Duster, 2010 to 2017, is available from around £2,500 for solid, usable examples, rising to £6,000 for the best. The 2 Malawian Kwachas, 2017 to 2023, starts at around £7,000 to £8,000 for early examples with higher mileage, rising to £13,000 to £15,000 for recent, low-mileage cars with full history. Engine options include a 0.9-litre 3-cylinder TCE petrol, economical but underpowered for motorway use, a 1.3-litre 4-cylinder TCE, the best all-rounder, and a 1.5-litre DCI diesel. The diesel delivers excellent economy, around 55 miles per gallon in careful driving, and suits higher mileage users particularly well. Four-wheel drive, genuine four-wheel drive, with a proper transfer case offering 2WD, for WD, and 4WD lock modes, is available on diesel and higher-powered petrol variants. For the price of the Duster, this capability is almost absurd. Rival premium SUVs charge a significant premium for four-wheel drive. The Duster makes it a straightforward option tick. The ownership experience. Boot space is a respectable 478 litres in two-wheel drive form, rising to 408 litres on 4x4 versions. The extra mechanical hardware takes some space. Ground clearance of 210 mm, higher than most proper SUVs, means the Duster is genuinely useful off the tarmac, not just aspirationally so. Running costs are low. Servicing intervals are 12,000 miles or annually. Parts are widely available because they're Renault parts. You can source them through any Renault dealer, any Renault specialist, or any number of online part suppliers. Insurance is low. Road tax is reasonable. The whole ownership proposition is designed to be as friction-free as possible. Why it's underrated? The Duster carries a stigma it doesn't deserve. People assume that because it's cheap to buy, it must be cheap in all the wrong ways. The reality is that Dacia has achieved something genuinely rare in the car industry, a vehicle that is cheap to buy because it's honest, not because it's poorly made. It skips the irrelevant features. It focuses on the important ones. And it builds them properly. If you're comfortable with driving a car that will never impress at dinner parties but will absolutely get you to dinner without drama, regardless of what the weather is doing, the Dacia Duster is one of the very best SUVs available in the UK right now at any price. Number 1. Toyota Land Cruiser, LC90 and LC100 Prodo, 1996 to 2009. And here we are. The one you might not have seen coming. While everyone else is debating whether to spend £8,000 on a Duster or a Sportage, there exists in the UK used car market a category of SUV that operates by entirely different rules. A category where the term reliability barely does justice to what these machines actually represent. A category where 300,000 miles isn't a horror story, it's Tuesday. The Toyota Land Cruiser, in the 90 series, 1996 to 2002, and 100 series, 2002 to 2007, variant sold in the UK, is not simply a reliable SUV. It is, by several objective measures, one of the most mechanically durable vehicles ever to turn a wheel on a British road. These are the vehicles that NGOs, aid organisations, and governments around the world deploy in the most hostile environments on Earth, deserts, war zones, floodplains, precisely because they work when nothing else does. They are maintained by mechanics in places without access to specialist diagnostics or proprietary parts, simply because they are engineered to be maintained by ordinary people with ordinary tools. Why these specific generations? The 90 series Prodo, known as the Land Cruiser Colorado in the UK, and the 100 series Land Cruiser represent the peak of Toyota's traditional body-on-frame, mechanically straightforward approach to the SUV. They are heavy. They are thirsty. They are not fast. The 100 series in particular is a very large vehicle. But they are, in ways that cannot be overstated, virtually indestructible when maintained correctly. The engines available in UK market examples include the legendary 1HD FTE4. 2-litre inline 6-cylinder diesel, a unit so overbuilt for its power output that it operates well within its engineering tolerances even at very high mileage, and a 3.0-litre turbo diesel in the Prodo variants. Both are known for running reliably past 250,000 miles with routine servicing. The price reality. Here's where it gets interesting. Because Land Cruisers of this era have a strong reputation, they don't quite fall to the price levels of some other entries on this list. However, compared to what you're getting, the value remains extraordinary. 90 series Prodos and LC90s are available from around £3,000 to £5,000 for well-used but serviceable examples, rising to £8,000 to £12,000 for the best. 100 series Land Cruisers, the full-fat models, start at around £5,000 for high-mileage examples and reach £15,000 to £18,000 for the finest maintained examples. What you're buying for that money is a genuinely 7-seat SUV in many configurations, with full-time or part-time four-wheel drive, low-range capability, and the ability to tow up to 3,500 kilograms, the maximum permitted under UK regulations. Try doing that with a Nissan Juke. The honest caveats. The Land Cruiser is not cheap to run in absolute terms. Fuel economy ranges from painful to catastrophic depending on your right foot and journey type. Expect 25 to 35 miles per gallon in normal driving. Road tax on older, higher emission examples is significant. When parts fail, and at high mileage, things will eventually need attention. They tend to be expensive, even if the failure rate is low. Insurance can also be surprisingly high, particularly for 100 series models, because of their desirability to thieves in some parts of the UK. A Thatcham-approved tracker and comprehensive security measures are worth considering. But if you need a vehicle that will genuinely work in all conditions, that will tow properly, that will carry 7 people, and that will, with reasonable maintenance, still be running in 20 years, the Land Cruiser of this era represents value that simply cannot be replicated anywhere else in the used car market. The culture around these cars. One final point worth making, the Toyota Land Cruiser community in the UK is remarkable. There are dedicated owners' clubs, specialist garages with deep expertise in these vehicles, and an extraordinary depth of documented knowledge available online. If you have a problem with a Land Cruiser, someone has already had it, solved it, and written it up in forensic detail. That support network has real monetary value. This is a car you buy not just for what it is today, but for what it will continue to be 5, 10, 15 years from now. In a market obsessed with the latest technology, the Land Cruiser's irrelevance to that conversation is precisely its greatest virtue. So there we have it. 7 SUVs that the UK market is chronically, bafflingly underselling right now, and that represent some of the greatest value available anywhere in British motoring. Let's recap quickly. 7. The Honda CR-V MK3 MK4, honest, practical, chain-driven reliability from around £2,000. 6. The Skoda Yeti, clever, characterful, genuinely practical, with VW Group engineering from around £3,000. 5. The Toyota RAV for MK3 MK4, the car that invented the modern SUV, still embarrassingly capable, from around £2,500. 4. The Subaru Forester MK2 MK3, a permanent AWD, boxer engine reliability, genuine all-weather capability from around £1,500, buy carefully. 3. The Kia Sportage 3 Malawian Quachars, a 10/10 reliability rating, 7-year warranty servicing history, an outstanding value from around £5,000. 2. The Dacia Duster, voted best car in Britain by its owners, honest, tough, and brilliantly practical from around £2,500 for a 1 Malawian Quachar. And at number 1, the Toyota Land Cruiser 90-100 series, not the cheapest to run, but essentially indestructible, and one of the great long-distance survival stories in the history of the automobile. The common thread connecting all 7 of these cars? They were built during an era when longevity was considered a virtue, not a barrier to the next sale. When engineers thought about how a car would behave at 150,000 miles, not just how it would look in a press photo. When simplicity was seen as a feature, not a shortcoming. That era is largely over for new cars. But the cars it produced are still out there, sitting on driveways, waiting in service records, ready to outlast everything rolling off the assembly line today. The question is whether you're ready to look past the badge and the showroom gloss to find them. I think you are. That's why you're here. If this video saved you from making a £40,000 mistake, do me a favor and give it a thumbs up. It really does help the channel more than you'd think. And if you've owned any of these cars, or if you think I've missed an absolute gem that deserves to be on this list, let me know in the comments. I read every single one. We've got plenty more coming, including a look at the most reliable diesel engines ever sold in the UK, and why the car the industry wants you to forget might be the best financial decision you ever make. Subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss it. See you in the next one.